Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/EntitledPeople for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the post, giving you my opinions at the end, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Pookie, 1028. Husband's coworker spies on us to verify he's sick. Hubby was very sick. Had to take him to the ER after he passed out from dehydration and an intestinal bug he'd been dealing with for a few days. On the way, he calls his job to let them know. We park in the ER garage and get a little ticket that the ER validates for you. He's brought back, immediately given fluids and meds, taken back for a CT scan, etc. We find out later a coworker who was pissy she was going to be short-handed took it upon herself to somehow find our address and later drive over to our apartment to check to see if hubby is really sick. She sees our upstairs neighbor walking who vaguely resembles my hubby. Both 6'3", light brown hair, similar builds. He's 15 years younger though, and has an infant with him. Our kids are in their late 20s, early 30s. She goes back to work and tells boss that we lied about being sick, as she saw him at insert time walking around outside perfectly fine. The next morning the boss calls hubby and lets him know he's going to be written up for calling out under false pretense and causing staffing issues. After pressing him for info, he tells us about what the coworker did. Husband tells boss that firstly, we have proof we were in the ER at the time coworker said she saw him, and secondly, that he's filing an HR complaint on both the coworker and the manager, as there isn't any rule about why anyone can call out, and why the hell is coworker at our house spying on us? In our state, management isn't allowed to inquire about your health, nor are they allowed to let you tell them about your health issues. Manager starts getting defensive and states, if we can give him proof, then he'll excuse it. Hubby says you'll get your proof, and hangs up. He immediately calls HR and lets them know what happened, and we provide them with a timestamp parking ticket and part of the discharge paperwork from the ER showing what time we arrived and left. The next week, an email is sent out notifying all employees and management about the law concerning sick time, and also a separate notification that employees are not to be following, spying on, or otherwise contacting other employees outside of the office regarding work, time off, etc. Hubby was called into a meeting with the manager, the department head, and the female employee. The manager and the employee were both absolutely roasted by the department head. The only thing the employee had to say was that the person she saw looked like my hubby and she was just angry about the situation. And the manager's excuse was that the female employee had been there a long time, so he trusted her when she told him. When asked about how she got our address, come to find out, manager lets her in his computer regularly, and she has been privy to other employees' private info for some time. Department head said hubby was free to go with his profound apologies. We found out later employee was fired and manager was demoted and moved to a different department. Yeah, that company 100% reacted that way because they knew if they didn't, there would be a massive lawsuit on their hands. An employee being stalked outside of office hours for any reason is just, that is a messy lawsuit waiting to happen. And additionally, because those files were accessed inappropriately, yeah, that could have gotten nasty for the company. Honestly, OP probably should have just pursued that anyways, but additionally, I absolutely love the irony of the fact of we're short-staffed today because you called out sick. So I also left the building to check to see if you were actually sick, making it so we were double short-staffed. Yeah, that's a great idea. God, I would have loved to be a fly on the wall when she found out the person she saw was actually the neighbor and made a false report based on the sighting of the neighbor, and then was met with the ER release and entrance times. And oops, looks like you're gonna have to dust off ye old resume. Aromantic speed 5090. Hotel guest took our car keys, wouldn't bring them back. Love this subreddit, had an experience today that fits right in. We're staying in a hotel in La Jolla. Very nice hotel, great service. We called down to the valet to get our car brought around from the garage so we could go visit my aged mother at her nearby residence. When we get down to the valet station, no car. We wait. Still no car. The valets go check and discover that our car is in the garage, but the key is missing. After checking all around, they look at the security footage of the valet stand and see that a hotel employee had placed the key on a stand by the valet desk. And before a valet could get it and go get our car, another hotel guest had just walked up and taken the key. The guest then proceeded to get in their own car and drive away. The hotel contacted the guest by phone and told them they had taken the wrong key and that they should return with it. The guest responded that they were driving to Oceanside, about 20 miles away, and they weren't going to turn around. So, a hotel employee got into a car and started driving after them. They asked them to name a spot where they could stop and meet up so they could turn over the key. The guest responded that they were going to go on to their destination, so the employee had to go there too if they wanted the key back. Meanwhile, we used our backup key to drive our car to visit my mom. When we got back to the hotel, our key had been recovered, and the hotel had sent a bottle of wine to our room to apologize for the incident. The staff was embarrassed and apologetic. We don't blame the staff though, the staff is great and went above and beyond. The idiot who just grabbed a random key without bothering to check if it was the right one, and then refused to alter their plans at all to get it returned, that's the thoughtless jerk we blame. And if you're wondering how they drove off with the wrong key, when the valets bring a car down from the garage, they leave the key in the car at the valet station, usually either above the sun visor or in a cup holder. So the impatient idiot's key was already in their car waiting for them when they stole our key. Because of course they were too important to wait another 10 seconds to ask somebody, or to check for themselves. User Delta9 Thick comments, well, first off, it is the hotel's fault. The valet is shit at their job. Leaving someone's key out is an automatic loss of job. Disengage 23. Yes, random passersby should not be able to grab keys. They should be locked up and unlocked for each customer claiming their car. Bad security on the hotel's part. It's why I rarely use valet. Aromantic Speed 5090, the OP of the post, responds. Just a clarification, this is not a valet that random people walk by. The person who took the keys is a hotel guest that has been staying at the hotel for the past week. The valets and doormen know this person. He was not checking out. He was coming back to the hotel later that day. The person should also know what his own key looks like. But the hotel itself agrees with you. Generally, keys are not placed out where any hotel guest can grab them. This was a rare event where one employee accessed the keys from a secure location, expecting another employee to return shortly and use the keys to get our car. The hotel staff took responsibility. I, however, know who the entitled jerk is in this situation, and it's the dumbass who picked up keys that don't go with his car. Keys that had a special attachment hanging off of them that was specific to us. So yeah, I do agree the hotel is definitely at fault here, but the guy that took the keys, definitely the entitled asshole. Like, if I found out I had taken somebody's keys, I'd be turning around that moment in hopes of not getting some kind of, charges pressed against me for stolen property. I mean, hell, I'm surprised that OP of the hotel didn't attempt to be like, hey, you just walked up and stole someone's keys. We're gonna have to press charges now if you don't turn around. Honestly, I would have just hit them with that, and I'm wondering why they didn't. Is there a specific reason why they didn't do that? Is it because they didn't want to lose either clientele, so they tried to work some weird middle ground of, oh, don't worry, we're going to go grab the keys. This way we can keep both customers. Instead of, the fact of, you stole someone's car keys and now jobs are on the line. And you're potentially liable for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars worth of stolen property. So, get your ass back here because you went into a restricted area and stole a key out the valet desk, or, we're gonna press charges. I'm wondering why that wasn't the conversation that happened, and if anyone could please enlighten me, I'd be very curious, because my only reason and assumption that I have right now is that they just didn't want to lose him as a customer because he's been paying solidly for the past week, and they have a guaranteed booked room right there. Impossible War 2741. Customer tried to use employee tip money for purchase. I work at a dispensary in the downtown area of my city. We get all kinds of people coming in to pick up their products, from business people in town for a conference, locals who live in the surrounding apartments, tourists, and people just in the area. What we don't get a lot of is people acting like the staff has some sort of grudge against them personally when they're refused service. The bulk of people who get irritated at us are easy to brush off. It doesn't matter that someone is 62 if their ID is expired. It's the law, and I'm not going to jail and getting this whole place possibly shut down because you flew out of your home state with an expired ID. So, the story. A couple of days ago, maybe 4 now, we had a customer come in. At first, she knocked at the front door, then apparently got upset with another customer because we didn't answer the unlocked door while busy. Weird, but whatever. She has now made it inside. This customer was a new one and was wanting a small joint and said she didn't have much money. No problem. We have inexpensive options, but with tax, our least expensive item is about $6. She starts looking at the menu and says, "I've only got like $1, but y'all have money. I'll just take some of that." I wasn't the one helping this customer, but I was the manager on duty, so I was listening in at this point. My coworker, I'll refer to as G, was helping her, and this was the conversation that followed. G: "We don't have anything for $1, and I can't just give away product." Customer: "Well, y'all got all kinds of money over there, and in there." Points to our employee tip jars at each register. G: "That's not money I can give away. It isn't mine, and I'm not allowed to give any customers money aside from their change." Customer: "Well, y'all got the money, so why don't you just give me, G: "I can't do that. If you're unable to make a purchase, I need to ask you to leave so I can help the next customer in line." Customer: "Well, I don't see why y'all hate me. You can just give me the blank. You don't need to be a jerk about it." G: "Ma'am, it is not legal for me to give away anything in this store. We can't dig into tip money to make a sale to a customer, and I'm going to have to ask that you leave now. Please have a good rest of your day." We pool tips for the full day and split among the people who worked that day based on how many hours they were there working. Customer kinda roams around the store, continuing to say things like, "Y'all got money," and "It's just a blank, y'all should just give it to me." She even reaches out to the tip jars a couple times, pointing at them and saying, "Money's right there." She did eventually leave, but it also took one of our regular customers who works security for a liquor store close by to ask me and G if we would like assistance in removing the customer. Customer goes outside, but not even a minute later, a new customer came in and told me that she was sitting out front trying to bully people coming in to buying her something inside. I then had to go and stand outside to wait for her to leave the property because her soliciting other customers to buy for her can get my store in just as much trouble as giving away product. I told her that I needed her to leave because she was not legally allowed to have someone else buy for her. If we have a suspicion that someone is buying for third party, not in the store with them at the time, we are required by policy and law to refuse the sale and mark the customer profile with a note saying they shop for people outside the store. I love the product I work with. It has so many uses and benefits that I always want to support people learning about and using the plan, but I have to follow the law. It doesn't matter if you're a Hollywood actor, we have gotten a few, a politician, someone without housing, or a personal friend. You will be treated the same when it comes to the laws surrounding the business I'm in. It has no standing on who you are and everything to do with how heavily regulated the industry is. So, in my opinion, I can kind of seeing this be two things here. The first one being that she felt so entitled to being able to get what she wanted that she felt that if she kept running you down about the tip jar, that eventually you'd relent and give her a little bit of the contents within the tip jar so she could walk away a happy customer. Customer being in quotes here. Or, and more tragically, she was definitely having some sort of episode or breakdown or was already on some kind of substance or worse and was just sort of all over the place and saw money and was like, well, I don't understand. There's money right here. Why can't I use that money? I could certainly see this being either one. Either she just feels entirely entitled to access the tip jars, or she is already far gone on a numerous and myriad of different things. No idea which one it would actually be, though. I feel like due to the desperation in them sitting outside that it's probably going to be the latter rather than the former. But I don't know. That's just my tinfoil hat theory. What are your thoughts? Little one, Entitled ex-husband thought I owed him my entire income for the next 5 years. This was already years ago when we first began our divorce proceedings. It was an abusive, controlling, very bad marriage. But I was in university when we met, taking courses to get into my now career. I worked through most of my degree, so I was able to pay for myself and my tuition. The last year of my degree, it became overwhelming to work at the same time, so my ex told me I should quit my job and he'd support us. Okay, great. I quit. I used my savings to help with my side of the bills, did all the household chores, and made sure I held up my end of things. I graduated and get multiple job offers and start working right away. Our marriage fell apart about 7 months after I started. He had multiple affairs, plus the abuse, and everything else. I left and went no contact. Our first time seeing each other was 15 months later at a mediation meeting with our respective lawyers. It only took him about 15 minutes to begin shouting and cursing at me, and then he demanded all my income, saying she would be nowhere without me. I gave her her career. I only help with the expectation that I would be reaping the benefits of her salary for the foreseeable future. Basically, both lawyers were dumbfounded, and his scrambled to get him to stop talking. I still chuckle to myself when I think about that meeting. As terrifying as it was at the time, it's funny to think about now. Edit. Since I've been asked a few times about how things went with my ex representing himself, honestly, I'm still not sure if it helped or hurt me in the end. It definitely made the process more frustrating. He would get ideas in his head like the ones I shared, and without a lawyer to explain why something wasn't legal or realistic, it was nearly impossible to get him to cooperate. Even when he was wrong, he insisted he was right. He was constantly unprepared for court dates, and while the judge gave him multiple dates with reschedules, we ultimately settled outside of court. I ended up conceding on quite a bit just to get it over with. He still ended up owing me money and failed to follow through on parts of the separation agreement. We had to return to court, where I got a judgment for damages, court costs, and the outstanding amount. There are liens on his assets now, so hopefully, I'll be paid out soon and can finally close that chapter. I didn't come out ahead financially. It mostly covered the business debt he put on my credit card, my legal fees, and gave me a clean slate. The experience reminds me of the old saying, never play chess with a pigeon. It knocks over the pieces, poops on the board, and struts around like it won. I understand the sentiment with a lot of this, good God. The biggest thing, though, is just the hilarity of him thinking he can get away with representing himself and just the frustrations following. You would have let that go full circle and just saw where it brought him, despite the fact that, legal costs and court fees and just the stress of dealing all that is hell, and trust me, I understand that. It would have been funny to see where it actually ended him up at, because I can guarantee that this shit would have backfired eventually and just got him laughed out of court or some kind of judgment thrown against him that just would have dragged him through the mud. Sounds like that's kinda what ended up happening anyways. Gotta love the idea that despite the fact that OP was already putting themselves through school and getting pretty close to it, that because their partner decided, hey, you should take some time off, that makes them entitled to your entire salary for the foreseeable future. And I'm sure his lawyer definitely enjoyed the fact that he just yelled the quiet part out loud as possible. Great job, buddy. Okay, Cricket 3746. Girl demands to use my hotel room and calls me selfish when I say no. Longtime reader, first-time poster. I've seen some wild stories here, but never thought I'd have one of my own. Until now. So I, 30 male, recently went on a short work trip and stayed at a mid-range hotel. Nothing fancy, just clean and quiet. When I arrived, there was just one person ahead of me at the check-in desk, as I arrived way before the check-in time. The person ahead of me was a girl who seemed irritated. She was complaining that her room wasn't ready yet. From what I overheard, it had something to do with the room type or cleaning schedule. Honestly, I didn't care. When it was my turn, the front desk handed me my key without issue, as my room was ready early. So I thanked them and started heading toward the elevator. That's when she suddenly turned to me and said, "Wait, your room's ready? Seriously? I've been waiting here and you just walk in and get one?" I just said, "Yeah, I guess mine was already prepped." She goes, "Can I use your room for like half an hour? Just to freshen up and lie down or something? I've been waiting and I'm exhausted." I was caught off guard, but quickly said, "No, sorry, I'm not comfortable with that." She got annoyed fast. "What's the big deal? We're both staying here. It's not like I'm some random person." I replied, "Still, I don't know you. I'm not letting someone I just met into my hotel room. You'll have to wait like everyone else." She rolled her eyes, said something under her breath, and went back. Later that evening, I saw her at the hotel restaurant with another girl, and she gave me a dirty look like I had personally ruined her day. Also, shouldn't she be more cautious of strangers than me? She didn't know me. I could have been anyone. What if I was a creep or worse? Some people have zero awareness when entitlement takes over. Edit, English isn't my first language. I'm seeing some people are laughing about her saying, "She's not a random person." That's not exactly how she phrased it, it's just the closest way I could translate what she said in my language. It's not actually that funny in my language. Her point was basically that since she was a guest too, I should have trusted her. I'm trying to think of what can lead someone to this kind of desperation and entitlement of yeah, it's totally reasonable for me just to ask a random person to spend an hour and a half in their room and use it to freshen up. That's a totally reasonable request, I think. My only guess the way that you could reach that kind of mentality or mindset is just exhaustion is taking just complete hold of you and dragging you right into hell. Either that or you just genuinely exist day to day thinking the world is owed to you. One of the two. Take your pick. Savvy Maverick. My neighbor's daughter just told me I need to park in my driveway again. I either don't encounter many entitled people in my day, or I'm really good at ignoring people, but this one just took the cake. So I, 40 female, just got my driveway replaced 2 days ago. Asphalt, not concrete. The contractor told me I could park my car on it again after 3 days. Google said 7 to 10. As much money as I spent on it, I decided to listen to Google. Hey, better safe than sorry. I live on a 2-way, yet 1 driving lane street. On my side, all of the houses are street level and have driveways, while the houses across the street are on a bit of a hill with steps leading up to them. The only street parking is on my side. Their side has an alleyway/service road behind them where those owners could park. A lot of them chose not to. They'd rather park in front of our houses. Not a big deal. I don't own the street and don't care who parks there as long as they aren't blocking me in. There are 2 spots, sedan-sized, between every driveway. I've been parking on the street in front of my house for these 2 days now and plan to stay there for at least another 5. I did not park in the middle so that no other car can also park because I'm not an asshole. One of my across the street neighbors has a daughter who's home from college. 19 maybe, I don't know. What I do know is she drives an SUV that is entirely too big and won't fit in front of my car without partially blocking the driveway of the neighbor next to me. I'm outside this morning, watering my flowers, minding my damn business, and this girl comes over unannounced and uninvited. The conversation went like this. Entitled neighbor. No hello, no pleasantries. Hey, when are you moving your car? Excuse me? My truck can't fit with your car there. Me looks over to my driveway that is clearly still roped off with yellow caution tape. I just got my driveway done. Yeah, I see that, but it looks dry to me. My dad said asphalt doesn't take as long as concrete. Me smiles and goes back to watering. You can park your car on it now. Me takes a deep breath, clearly annoyed. Drying and curing aren't exactly the same. I won't be parking on it for another few days. No, you need to do it now. There's nowhere else for me to park. What am I supposed to do? This is where my eyes started to twitch because not this little girl telling me what I needed to do. Me, through clenched teeth, what about your service road? My parents park back there. There's no room. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I wish you an ounce of luck. Poor child turned a few shades of red and stomped back across the street. I'm not one of those older millennials who thinks Gen Z are all entitled babies, but what the hell was that? And in case you're wondering, I work from home. Did all my grocery shopping and errand running a few days ago. I have no plans on leaving the house or my spot again, at least until Wednesday. She'll just have to suffer. Update post. Wow, okay, so I did not expect as many comments as I got, lol. I also had no plans on doing any updates because I didn't think there would be one. First, just to address a couple things that came up constantly in the comments. Why don't you park blocking your own driveway so she can fit? I considered doing this the day the work was done, but not because of her. She, nor her spaceship, ever crossed my mind. I was going to do it so that no one could attempt to use my driveway to do a 3-point turn, but I decided not to. Not to be vindictive, I simply didn't think it was necessary. I genuinely didn't see an issue with me parking on the street. Also, despite the arguing in the comments, in Pennsylvania, blocking a driveway, even your own, is illegal. I live in a suburb where the police department has nothing better to do than just drive around. I don't actually believe they would enforce it or ticket me for it though, unless they were truly bored. However, after that exchange, I wasn't going to do a single damn thing to accommodate her. If that makes me the entitled one, then I'll be that. Taking up one space in front of my own house seems, I don't know, perfectly reasonable. To the comment of, you can park on it now, Google is being over the top. I actually agree, 7 to 10 days is a little outlandish. However, my concerns is my car sitting there for prolonged periods. If I were leaving every day for 8+ hours, I would be more inclined to start parking on it. However, I really don't leave often for more than maybe 2 hours at a time a couple days a week. My car is a 2018 and only has 24k miles on it. I'm a homebody for real, lol. Also, my driveway previously was crumbling but also sinking in exactly where my tires lined up. Coincidence? I think not. I hope you have cameras. She's going to vandalize your car. I do have cameras, in plain view. I also have a motion detection dash cam, but I'm not too concerned about that. Like I said, it's a 7-year-old car that's been paid off for 2 years. If she's dumb enough to have to buy me a new one, that's on her. Also, her father is pretty high on our district school board. I didn't go looking for that information, he told me that years ago. I don't think he would take too kindly to his daughter tanking his reputation over something so trivial. Lastly, thank you to everyone for all the petty suggestions. I got a laugh out of those. I won't be buying a clunker to sit in front of my house until the dawn of time, but I appreciate the dedication. I hope that context helped because the update is not juicy at all. Earlier today, Sunday, I was outside on a video call with another contractor showing them my fence that needs replaced. My neighbor, the father, was also outside, doing yard work. He waved and I gave him a polite smile and continued with my conversation. When he saw that I had hung up, he waved again to get my attention and came across the street. He started by asking me my version of events yesterday, and I told him. He kind of looked mortified and just shook his head and mumbled, "That's her mother." He then proceeded to tell me how his daughter got all of his good traits and all of his wife's bad ones. I don't know what that meant and didn't really care. I will say that I've owned my house for 9 years and I've never once had a single interaction with the wife, only with him. She's never acknowledged me and I'm okay with that. He also cleared up a few things. 1. She's 21, not 19. Not that it matters, I just got that wrong. 2. The Suburban she's driving isn't hers. If you live anywhere in Pennsylvania, you'll know you've had some pretty destructive storms over the past couple months. Well, one of them claimed the daughter's normal-sized Hyundai by dropping a tree on it. She's renting the Suburban because she's going on a 6-week road trip with her friends to California. Not the most fuel-efficient choice, but okay. The important part is, she leaves next Saturday. 3. He never sent her over to say anything to me, and didn't tell her about the asphalt drying time with the intentions of her bringing it up to me. Apparently, he was just making small talk about the work that was done because he was home that day, and she wasn't. She brought up that I wasn't in my driveway, and he told her why. He apologized and said he would have her do the same. I told him that wasn't necessary. I really don't want to interact with her again for any reason. He's now parking in front of my house so that she has room for her school bus behind their house. That's it. She's leaving on Saturday, and while I'm not leaving my car on the street until Christmas, I'm still leaving it there until Wednesday. Be kind. Honestly, I'm not really sure what to say here beyond the fact of just, I can't even imagine going up to my neighbor and being like, "Hey, can you not park in front of your own home because I need to park in front of your house?" And it's not even like asking nicely either, it's like demanding it from them. I wonder how differently this entire interaction would have gone if she was just more respectful and just tried to actually have a conversation about it of like, hey, do you think you could maybe park in a way where I could squeeze my car in for street parking? Because like even in this way, you still end up with OP being in the position of like, okay, cool, I have every incentive to get my car off the street as quick as possible, and not, I wonder how long I can actually leave my car here to further just infuriate them for being so rude to me. Kindness can go a long way, and when you act entitled, you're kind of just increasing the chances that someone's gonna double or triple down or go out of their way not to do something to inconvenience you. Well, inconvenience you further in this case. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.